I always play on the hardest level every game that I play. There's no other way to play, you know, and you know, I went out to other places and, you know, got my butt handed to me, stuff like that, because one of the things I feel is that you can't get better unless you lose, and you lose greatly, because that's when you actually get that drive to become better. So when I finally actually did face him and I completely wiped the floor with him,
Can you describe that match, like, in detail? Like,
of course.
Who were the 3 players he chose, and who were the 3 players he chose?
The 3 players that he chose the Orochi New Face team, but he picked them in Orochi mode, which is basically their powered up version. I picked Leona as my first character, Kyo Kusanagi, and I picked Yoriyagami. His order was Yashiro, Chris, and Shermie. He was a big Shermie player because Shermie's a grapple character, and she's also a projectile character. So she's kind of 2 things into one. And her grapples do a considerable amount of damage. She's kind of like a female Zangief, if you want to look at that. So when it came down to the first round, and I remember that we were playing at the American Wonderland stage. I can never forget that because the most annoying music...
about King of Fighters?
97.
Oh, yeah. The game with mad slowdown.
Yeah. Slowdown was crazy. It was PlayStation 1 version I was playing with it too, so...
They switched off.
Yeah.
Right now.
It was at the American... what is it? I have... Go into my room in the back there, and I have a set of keys. My keys? Right by the King of Fighters posters on the door. Go and get my keys, and there's a bottle opener in there. How can I put that? Okay, Leona's my first character, and he had Yashiro coming out as his first character. Leona, to me, is an anti-air character because most of her most valuable moves and most efficient moves are done in the air. And she's also a charged character. She's kind of like hold back, forward, and she's a charged character. Remember the first round started off, the first thing that came out was a Moon Slasher, because I knew he was going to jump at me. A Moon Slasher is basically, it counts as any air character because it's like a crescent moon that she slashes up in the air. That caught him. I was actually surprised. And one thing about King of Fighters, there's no air block. So that was a guaranteed hit off the back. Then once that happened, I was charging up back. I did her dashing slash to a flip. That didn't catch. He threw me to the other side of the screen. After that, I was playing things strategically, and I was throwing earring bombs for about maybe a good 5-10 seconds. And if you use different buttons, you get different angles. So I was trying to switch them up and kind of psych them out with throwing them, faking, and throwing them low on the ground, having them roll for a bit. Towards the end of the match, Yashiro beat me. He put up a special where he grabs you in the air and just slams you both back and forth, and that just wiped me out. So I was kind of like, okay, well, he got my Leona character, okay. So I come out with Kyo Kusanagi, and I pick the old version of him, where he can actually shoot flames on the floor, instead of actually having his Wicked Chew combo. And he was maybe at half health when the fight started. So after that, Kyo Kusanagi, I come out with him. I was doing my combos, RED kicks to flame uppercuts. I was doing fireballs into his triple kick combo. One of the moves I use a lot with Kyo is his forward kick. If you hold down forward and press his hard kick butt, he'll come out with 2 kicks and actually advance himself forward. After that, a couple of moves and a couple of combos with Kyo, Yashiro died. He was done. So now it's down to 2 and 2. I had maybe a quarter of my health left, quarter HP left. His character comes out. For some odd particular reason, I knew that character front and back. I knew how dangerous he was, so I had to keep him at bay. So I was keeping my distance, just throwing fireballs on the floor, keep throwing fireballs on the floor, and that kept him away to a point where he started doing his projectile. His projectile, Chris and Orochimoto's projectile will take up the whole radius of the screen. It's the entire radius. There's any fireball that's been thrown at him, that one fireball will take that fireball, deflect it, and then just keep going. So there's no way to get past that. One thing from King of Fighters that I like about it that Capcom really doesn't have in their games is called an evade. Basically, you can actually dodge into the background and get away from different things and go around moves. So when he was doing that, because he found out that I was doing fireballs constantly on the floor to keep him away, he knew my strategy. So he kept doing his fireballs, which was like 3 times stronger than mine. So I had to really think fast and change up everything, my entire game plan. So that's when I started doing super jumps, and a super jump basically got me not in front of him, but close to the point that if I didn't react fast enough, he could do a fireball and actually kill me. And I would just get caught up into it, and my character would have been dead with just 2 shots. Right. So the minute I had landed over there, I caught an evade. An evade, an emergency attack. An emergency attack is when you use one special move to actually take a hit, take no damage, and go behind the character. So once I go behind his character, grab him, throw him on the floor, kept a close range, thinking in my mind that he has close range moves as well. Chris, his Orochi uppercut, takes about maybe more than a quarter health of what I had. So I had to make sure I was, you know, just playing a dodge and roll game with him. So every time he got up, I would do a dodge and roll, go behind him, knowing that when his character got up, he was facing this way. I would roll till I was on this side of him, so I could always change up combos. So one thing I was doing, I was just evading back and forth and staying on each side of him. Whenever he got up, I was in the opposite direction, to the point where it would take his character a certain amount of time to face me and block the attacks. Surprisingly enough, I took out his Chris with Kyo without getting hit, not one time. So basically, after that round, I got about maybe to half health without getting hit. So, because after every round, you gain a certain amount of health back. So I have half health now, and he's on his last character, and that's his best character. So the match starts off. The minute he does, he rushes at me and grabs me. He starts grabbing my character, and it takes about maybe half the health that I got back. So now I'm down to a quarter again. He goes back, and I know he's gonna go for his special move where she flies at you, and she has like lightning coming out of her legs. And that move takes about, when she's coming at you, there's lightning coming out of her legs going on both bottom and top of the screen. So regardless if you jump, if you evade, if you crouch, you're getting hit with something. So I know I couldn't do anything, so I tried to dash back as far as I can to see if maybe I'll time the move out to the point where she can land on the floor. She lands on the floor in front of me, but he pulls off a move where he spins at me with lightning on her feet, and that kills me off. So now I'm down to my best character against his best character, both full HP. Surprising enough, I come out with only getting hit twice. Match starts off, I pull off some fireballs over, I run at him with one of his moves that grabs the character on the floor and just puts flames on him and just bursts on them. Okay, so now I got him down to half health. He gets up, I pull up a flame uppercut, it's about a 3-hit combo, flame damage. I activate my special, because in King of Fighters when you activate, it takes up 1 special gauge and you have 1 special left over. He got on the floor, I did a super jump, kicked him, when I got to the floor, got into a Maiden Masher EX, threw him on the floor, ripped him apart.
Wow.
And
what did you do when you won?
When I won, I literally just, I was in shock. I dropped the controller, I looked at him and I said, "You gave this match to me." And he goes, "No, seriously, I was playing with everything I had." And he goes, "You're just that good now. You've just gotten so much better in such a short amount of time." And I said, "You know."
How long has it been?
It had been maybe about 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops.
Wow.
And it was more or less like, I was just still astonished because I was like, "No, seriously, you let me win that." And he goes, no, you really beat me. I give it my all and you beat me." And ever since after that, I'm like, wow, you know, I was in shock for a long period of time. And then ever since that, I've been just pushing myself and striving, and I've been looking for competition.